What's up, people? Jacob here, Miami Dolphins Syndicate. The news just keeps rolling in, and now it's being reported that if the Dolphins do not get competent, if they do not get competitive in the next 6 to 7 weeks, Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier will be fired. This really shouldn't come as a shock to anybody that watched the game on Sunday. If you've been living under a rock, the Dolphins, I don't even know if it's really arguable, had the worst performance week one of any of the 32 NFL teams. They currently feel the worst about themselves as a collective fan base. We feel the worst about ourselves as a collective fan base to any of the other 31 NFL teams. And it was ugly in all ways to use the word ugly would define how that game went on Monday. I said throughout this offseason, looking at this schedule, that if the Dolphins do not start off the season 4-1, it could get rough. And now I think we're more likely to start the season 1-4 than if we start the season 4-1. Generally speaking, I am never a fan of firing a coach or GM mid-season. It's pretty much just booking your ticket, say, hey, we are not going to be competitive this year. Now, I'm not trying to sit back here and argue that the Dolphins are going to be at all competitive this year. But if you were to do that, it is a stark slap in the face in terms of where you are. And that very well might be justified when you look at what happened week one and you just look at this Dolphins team in general. Mike McDaniel, Chris Grier have put this team together. They've had their brief success, but they've also put themselves in a situation where the defense is absolutely abysmal and you're relying on Tua, who has his one very stout trait, which is his accuracy. And when that goes away, Tua is not able to lead the team in really anything else. You don't find him making plays on his own. He doesn't carry a group of subpar individuals. He is just somebody who is going to maintain whatever the level of the team is around him. And right now, the level of the team is really bad. Throughout the offseason, I was saying we pretty much had to go 4-1 through our first 5 games. Games that include, obviously, the Colts on Sunday, Patriots this upcoming week, Buffalo Bills, Jets, and Panthers. When I looked at that schedule, I was like, those are 4 very winnable games. When you do that, when you look at the schedule like that, sometimes it can backfire in the sense of, while you may be looking at those games as easy wins, those other teams can also look at that very same thing. And now the Dolphins, whenever you see the Dolphins on the schedule, that is what you're assuming. You are assuming that you are going to have a pretty easy week. Those are still quote-unquote winnable games. Patriots, Bills, well, sorry, not Bills. Patriots, Jets, Panthers. Those are very quote-unquote winnable games. And I don't think how this Dolphins team is currently set up, I don't know how likely it is we come away with wins in those games. And if you look at just the 6 to 7, 6 weeks from now, we play the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. The Miami Dolphins cannot do anything but go up to Cleveland in 6 weeks' time and win by double digits. You have to. These next few weeks, you would assume, even as bad as we were, we scrape out a win. I don't think the Patriots were that good on Sunday. The Jets, I don't know what they're going to look like long term. Was that just week one? Steelers didn't know what they were going against because they didn't have any film on them. Do they come back down to earth? And the Carolina Panthers didn't look as bad, but certainly towards the bottom of the NFL. Like, there are still winnable games on the schedule. If you can scrap out 1 or 2 wins, all right. You then look at the Chargers game in between the Panthers and the Browns game as pretty much an auto L. 6 to 7 weeks from now, if we lose that game to the Cleveland Browns, gone. I still don't think it's a great idea to fire guys mid-season. I don't like the message that sends, and if we do fire them, it is going to be a rough ride. It's not going to be a rough ride for the rest of the season. It's going to be a rough ride for next season. You are going to be starting over completely from scratch. And then we're going to have some very uncomfortable conversations about who else is going to get the axe. It's not just going to be Grier. It's not just going to be Mike McDaniel. Where does Tyreek Hill go? He'll likely be traded in that scenario. Tua, yes, he still owed a whole lot of money that the Miami Dolphins are going to have to worry about on their books. But look at the Denver Broncos right now. Yes, they didn't look great on Sunday, but with a rookie quarterback last year and an experienced head coach, they made the playoffs. They're now 1-0, and they're still paying Russell Wilson a lot of money. I don't think they care particularly one bit about the fact that they had to let him go. And then you go further down. Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, Phillips, those young core pieces of your roster, Zach Sealer. Are they really worth holding on to and paying the amount of money that you're paying them when you're clearly going through a reboot? In the offseason, if the Dolphins had let go of Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel, I probably would have said that was a good thing. I did not like the direction this team was going in following the end of last season. I sold myself a little bit on the hope coming into the season that, look, everything went as wrong as could be last year, and we were still able to be last game of the season there with a chance to make the playoffs. If you're going to go as far as to get rid of your GM and head coach mid-season, it's going to be very uncomfortable. Pretty much piece by piece, you're going to see some of your favorite players leave this team. Now, is that ultimately for the betterment of this team? Maybe. You look at what we tried to do in the 2019 season with Brian Flores. You gut this team. You tank for Tua, and if things had gone a little bit differently, let's say we had actually got the number 1 overall pick, if we had taken Joe Burrow, if we had just taken Justin Herbert, if we trusted Brian Flores a little bit longer, how different could we be than the situation we are in right now? Potentially we could be a lot further ahead. Potentially we could be in a situation where, okay, we're not just hoping to keep our jobs. We are hoping that there's a playoff run here, maybe a playoff win in there. Things could have gone very differently if, when you strip the pieces, you just made the right decisions. Now, you're going to, likelihood of these 6 to 7 weeks, if things don't turn around, and even beyond that, when we get to the end of the season, how does this team look? Are they, it's hard to even bring up the word playoffs, but are they somehow within playoff striking range? If somehow they do good enough to keep their jobs beyond that, cool. I don't think they will. I think one way or another this season is going to result in both of them being let go. You then look at next season, you get rid of Tua, eat some money, get rid of Tyreek Hill, probably going to have to eat some money on that too, for wherever you send him away to. Likelihood is the rest of the season's not going to be good. Next season's probably not going to be good. But then the following season, the Miami Dolphins pretty much have their books entirely cleared. We're looking at the 2027 season. And as a fan, I don't want to sit here and be like, all right, guys, maybe we'll be good in 2027. But if the Miami Dolphins are in such a bad situation that we are potentially firing our coach and our GM at the midway point in the season because you lost to the Cleveland Browns, that is the likelihood of the situation. If we fire Brian Flores, or if we fire Mike McDaniel, if we fire Chris Grier, that move unto itself, I'd probably sit back and say, you know what? Probably the good move. But if we do that, just know what it probably comes with. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel are going to make it to the end of the season, or do you think they're going to get the axe? Let me know your thoughts down below. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Go Dolphins.